coming at you. Good Wednesday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, a crazy night of weather last night in Oklahoma.
Definitely flash floods. I've been keeping an eye on Table Rock for the upcoming coast.
They had tornadoes up there.
It jumped up a foot overnight, Mark.
Yeah, and there's more coming, too.
I would say your sight fishing days for the month of April and early May in Oklahoma are gone.
Done. Finished.
You're back to the Carolina rig and the Vixen now.
That's it. Done. Wow. And it was just crazy because they predicted, and folks, I talk about the weather a lot. I'm sorry.
Way too much.
It is part of living in Oklahoma. And they were predicting this to happen. It didn't get as bad. I think the last number I saw was they had 15 tornadoes in the state of Oklahoma. But the coolest shot of the night was the dude that had the balls to get out there and do the drone footage while the tornado was going by. Did you see that?
I did not.
Yeah, man. Probably the most coolest video of a tornado I've ever seen. Now, it wasn't like an F2 or an F3 or whatever. Very small tornado. And the dude was flying the drone right by it. Made national news this morning. And just a crazy night. I went to bed fairly early and was woken up at 2 a.m. of the sound of ping pong ball hail bouncing off the roof.
No, we didn't get any hail.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad here. Really bad. Now, you were out and about last night. They had all kinds of flooding in Tulsa.
I had to drive through a little bit of standing water, and I just stopped. And the girlfriend's like, "You could make it through." And I said, "This is how you get on the news."
That's right. So
and
numerous people were on the news.
And it was barely over the road surface. But you didn't know. You couldn't tell. So
you didn't get stuck, obviously.
No, absolutely not. But.
All right. I need to get the instant feedback cranked up here. I'm slipping a little bit. All right, here we go. Instant feedback is good to go. All right, we're going to have a good show today. Going to have David Dudley on. It's been a while since we've had him on. I think it goes all the way back to the Judici days, as you mentioned earlier in the week when we were on XM radio. It's been a long time, but the dude's having a good year. And in doing some research on Dudley, I ran across something that I did not realize, Matthew. It has been 20 years since probably the greatest 2 months in the early stages of what I refer to as the embroidery moment of professional bass fishing. Not the vest moment. It kind of went vest, then it goes embroidery, then it goes sublimation.
The greatest 2 years?
No, 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah. And any idea? It was 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah,
Wait,
this year is the 20th anniversary.
So it would be what year would that be then?
1999.
1999.
Yeah.
1999. And it has to do with David Dudley.
No.
Oh, it doesn't have to do with David Dudley.
No. But it does have to do with FLW. That's how I ran across it.
With not the Millennium stuff.
Yeah. That's 20 years ago, dude. 1999. That's when Daryl Robertson won it on, what was it, Cypress Gardens, I think.
That was like over $500,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because Dudley won it a couple years later.
Yeah, and Dudley won $700,000.
That'll kickstart a career right there.
Yeah. Dudley won $700,000, but then Robertson came back and won the FLW Tour Stop that same year on Lake Fort Gibson for $250,000.
And he's won a cup too, hasn't he?
No.
You sure?
No, he's only got two wins. He's got the Millennium and he's got the Fort Gibson win. And that is when the whole thing got started, I'd say publicly. A lot of guys were doing it already, where he took a Who Daddy. Daryl Robertson took a Gene LaRue Who Daddy and they fused it together. They melted it together.
Yeah, he won the Forcewood Cup in '99, bro.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I knew he did. Every time I see it, I see his big banner there when I go to the Cups.
In '99 he won it?
Yeah.
Huh. So he won 3 events that year then.
No, he's won 2. He won the Millennium
Yeah.
in '99, and then
he won at Gibson
but that was the Forcewood Cup.
for $250,000.
260,000.
Okay.
So we were both right there.
I know he only had 2 wins, and I know those were his.
But I
only
knew I
2
thought
wins.
one of them was
and that
the
was
cup.
a cup, huh?
Yeah.
That was weird. It's weird how things
Daryl
have
Robertson
changed.
Trivia Day here at Fast Talk
But
Live.
it's 20 years though. 20 years has gone by since probably one of the most impressive performances over a couple of months.
Was that the first
in the history?
like real big money tournaments?
Yeah.
Was that the same time as Megabucks or before Megabucks or?
Well, Megabucks was before, but it wasn't.
It wasn't that.
It wasn't
type
$500,000
of money.
bucks.
That
No.
was insane money.
Yeah.
That's more than anyone can fish for now. It's 300,000 for the Cup, 300,000 for the Classic.
What about the Red Crest? What's the Red Crest going to pay?
Who the hell knows?
Is it $500,000? It might be $500,000. I don't
$10
know.
million.
I don't know. I have no idea. But man, time has just flown
Yeah.
by. But do you remember the story? How old were you then? You were what?
In what, 2002?
17? 20 years ago? 14, 15?
Wait, what year?
99.
99? I was 15.
Do you remember that story at all?
No.
It was a huge, huge story
No.
because he was taking, and I'm reflecting back.
Who are we talking about, Dudley or Robertson?
No, I'm talking about Daryl Robertson.
Okay.
All right. And what he was doing, he was taking a brush hog and fusing it together with a hoodaddy. Because you remember what a hoodaddy looks like?
A hoodaddy's got a ring top on it,
Yeah.
but then it's got a very similar brush hog bottom.
All right. So what he was doing is he was taking a tube, all right, the ring tube.
On the top of the hoodaddy.
Right.
Cutting off the
And
tentacles
fusing it together somehow, some way.
with a brush hog.
Correct. And then that's when the hoodaddy came out. Was
Oh, no,
after
he
that
was
event.
he was taking a tube and fusing it together with a brush hog,
Correct.
a ring tube,
Right.
and that created the hoodaddy.
Correct.
God, you are full of insightful information this morning. You
I
got
just-
the stats. You got really. That's how it came about.
It freaked me out when I saw that. I was like,
Like taking a
"Dang,
lighter
that
and
was-"
melting it together.
Yeah. I was like, man, that was 20 years ago.
Wow.
20 years ago, and that's how. And one of the most memorable things was at his press conference, Daryl Robertson said, "Well, I'm using this thing, and it's kind of like a brush hog." And they were just like, "Oh, he didn't even mention the tube thing." And I think it was about 4 or 5 months later that the hoodaddy came out and it sold like crazy.
I got a buddy.
I still have some. Do you have any?
Yeah. No, I still fish it.
Yeah.
We call him Juice Newton. His name's Jarrett. And that guy's got like 7 strip pits up there in up around Tulsa. The only thing he will throw in them is a hoodaddy.
Really? Interesting.
Loves them. Just got packs of hoodaddies everywhere.
Well, I know Biffle for a long time. He's got that one color that
Silver Flash.
yeah, that he before he came out with his bug. That's what he used a lot.
I mean, yeah, the hoodaddy's a good bait.
Yeah, he
It's
used
a really
that
good
lot.
bait.
So yeah, man, that's a little bit of history, and I just it went boom back into my mind when I was doing the research for Dudley. I apologize. I had no idea. I've slept since then, obviously. I had no idea that was the cup off the top of my head. All right,
did,
so he has
off
2
the
wins.
top of
All
my
right.
head.
Dudley, though, he gets $1.2 million in 2002 and 2003. He wins the cup, and then he won the M1. That's $1.2 million. And I was correct. He is the all-time leading money winner.
That's impressive. Yeah, I was doing my research and I went back and I said, holy cow, this guy is incredibly consistent. And then throw in, over 4. His money earnings are insane.
Yeah.
Every year. I mean, he had a $400,000 year.
Yeah.
In 2012. He had 100. He just consistently had almost a $200,000 year in 2008. Obviously, that was the year that he won one of his 3 Angler of the Year titles.
Yeah.
I was actually covering that in 2008 when they went to the Detroit River to close things out, and there was kind of a race, and Dudley was a little bit back in it, and it was I think Thrift was involved in that, maybe Andy Morgan was, and they had horrible tournaments, and Dudley just was consistent and came through in that tournament, and I remember everyone was really looking at Brian Thrift in that tournament, and I think he was like one of the only guys, if I remember right, who didn't even come in with a limit maybe one day. And Andy Morgan finished in 100. Yeah, Andy Morgan finished in 192nd in that tournament. I mean, just crazy stuff happened, and Dudley got another Angler of the Year title.
Yeah, it's been a while since he's won though. You know when his last victory was? Without looking it up?
No,
just off the top of Champlain.
Oh yeah, he had over 80 pounds in that tournament. I remember he had like a 24-pound bag on Champlain, I think.
2012. Yeah, it's been 7 years. It's been a while, but sitting in 5th place right now in the Angler of the Year
has
standings.
To track down who?
What?
Who does he have to track down?
For what?
The Angler of the Year lead.
Oh, that would be Miles Burkhoff.
Did his life-size poster come in yet that you can put on your bedroom wall there, Jeffries? The sonar?
No,
the sonar poster?
Dave was giving me grief on this too. Folks, I'm going to tell you, if you're having the kind of year that he's having, you're going to get exposure. You are a wanted man. People want to hear what you're doing. All right, so don't give me this crap that I've got this man crush on Miles Burkhoff. The dude's having a great year. Rookie season, Rookie of the Year, leading the Angler of the Year race. Come on, Matthew.
I hear you.
By the way, did you see how much rain has fallen in southeast Oklahoma? You talked about Table Rock. Did you see how many
Sardis
inches
is going to be a mess. Break out the red kicker.
Dude, they don't release water.
They don't have any way to release water,
they got one little bitty gate.
What happens on that lake when it rains?
It's just a flood control.
Inches? So it'll just...
Yeah, it's flood control. Yeah, they pull the water off. I think Oklahoma City uses the water.
Not for Sardis.
Yeah.
Sardis all the way down there comes all the way up to Oklahoma City?
There's a pipeline. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean, it'll come up like 5 feet, won't it?
Yeah. Did you see what it was doing this morning?
Hey,
I mean, I was up at 2:30 a.m.
You can run the stump flats now.
Yeah, nothing's sticking out of the water, man. I don't know. So
another interesting fact on Dudley, he has not fished on a Sunday yet.
Really?
This year. He has finishes at 12th, 25th, 74th, 21st, and 13th.
Huh.
So consistency, getting it done for the man.
Is he still doing his Facebook Live thing? Do you know?
I don't know. I mean, he's still doing YouTube videos, and I like how raw they are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just him. He turns it on, and
but last year he was doing
big time. Yeah, you could watch him fish You could watch him fish the entire day.
Yeah. All right, man. What else? Anything else last night? Nothing?
No, we did get a message from a viewer, and he's sending pictures right now. I think he's giving us too much credit, Jeffries.
What's that?
He's interested in possibly purchasing a vessel. This vessel has
a vessel. Jeez.
This vessel has a number on it.
From the Classic.
It is from the Bassmaster Classic, and it's from like 17, 18 years ago, and he's like, who was boat number 24 in the 2003 Classic?
And you're trying to dig it up based upon the archives that we have.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig it up.
You've narrowed it down, though, haven't you?
I have narrowed it down. Ooh, and that's very promising. He just sent a picture of it.
Does it look like Harold Allen's?
Yeah, but I think all of them, it's that classic black, red, and white Skeeter.
Yeah.
Back at the time.
Huh. Well, good luck with that one.
It's very interesting. I think we might.
Oh, and I'm glad you shaved.
We might be
You're
close. Yeah, I'm
very, very nice.
Completely clean shaven now.
Looking like 16 years old.
Back
very
in
nice.
Back in the professional realm.
Very nice. All right, we're going to take a break here.
That was all over the place, Mark.
I get the music queued up here. We're going to take a break.
2003 Classic. Daryl Robertson, raccoon hunting, Facebook Live.
Yeah. That's what we do, man. We just kind of roll with what's out there. All right. Last thing I want to say real quick. Tomorrow, hopefully, I will get to just a number of emails that folks have sent in. And then after we have David on, I want to talk about something that a viewer sent in, too. to close the show out. It's pretty cool stuff. So we'll get into that. All right, we'll be right back. Everybody stay tuned. Back with David Dudley.
Sleek new design with easy control file. The clearest images underwater with uncompromising range. Live mapping from the touchscreen. View notifications, video, even Google Maps on screen. And for the first time ever, real-time view of fish movements with live sight sonar. HDS Live. New from Lowrance.
I got my power pole down, stuck in the mud in the bottom of the lake, sitting so still in the wind and the waves, could even be a hurricane. I got my power pole down.
AFCO has a new foul weather rain suit called the Hydronaut. A lot of the features that I really like about it first is the speed vent hood. If it's raining out, you know how a person gets wet is when you run down the lake and the hood comes down. With the speed vent hood, it's going to stay up. It has a camera mount in the pocket on the chest. The Hydronaut has a 2-layer, 100% waterproof nylon shell. If you're interested in a rain suit that has a lot of cool features that's going to keep you dry, you need to check out the Hydronaut from AFCO.
Daryl Martin's here. I'm going to be telling you about a new product by Sunline. It's Siglon PE x8. I've been using it almost extensively all year for my frogging, flipping, drop shotting, shaky heading, worming, jerk baiting. It's by far my favorite Sunline braid. I honestly, I don't say this unless I think it's true, but honestly it's the best braid in the market of any of the braids. Definitely check it out. It's a price point line, $14.95 for 165 yards, and that could last you a whole year, just one spool with using leader material. It's Siglon PE x8. It's my favorite braid, and I think if you use it, it'll be your favorite braid too.
Pros depend on hydraulic jack plates to get the best out of their boats. Do what they do. Demand Atlas performance. Atlas gets you from the bottom to the top in less than 8 seconds, even with the big 4-strokes. And when you gotta turn right around and get that heavy load back up in rough water, Atlas's innovative design and American-made components will get you there with confidence.
I'm at Depot. Just look for yourself. There's an Atlas jack plate on just about every professional's boat.
The Atlas hydraulic jack plate. You can depend on it.
All right, we are back closing out the week. And Matthew, I'm working on some good stuff for next week.
I am too. We're getting closer to figuring out whose boat it was. We got a picture of it. I'm sending it now. So who's the only man who would maybe even off the top of his head know who the boat number 24 was in the 2013 Bassmaster Classic? One guy.
Ken Duke.
I made the call.
Did you find out?
I was shocked that off the top of his head he did not know who boat number 24 was in the 2003
Are you kidding me?
Bassmaster Classic.
All right, you ready for our guest? Let's bring him in
Absolutely.
here. David, you there, man?
I'm here.
All right, thanks for taking time out. And right off the bat, man, I want to ask you, do you like this day off before you guys get started?
I absolutely love it. I mean, that's the best move that the FLW made years ago. It just helps you all the way around to get refocused, get your tackle back straight, and a lot of what it is just being of course you get to relax and get refocused, but a lot of it's just time saver. Like you don't think about it, but you're prepping your tackle for things that are going on your rod. Then you're prepping tackle for things you might do, or whether it's just dipping chartreuse on your baits or getting your hooks out and set up to where they're quick and accessible. I mean, I bet you it saves me an hour of rambling in the boat every day just being prepped so I don't waste time doing certain things.
Wow.
Well, while we're talking about the tackle and prep, I got to hand it to you, man. I was at Walmart, and I have seen some of your things with that odd-looking shaky head.
Yeah, the stand-up shaky head.
Dude,
yeah, it looks like two legs on the back of it, and it truly is the only true stand-up shaky head on the market. I took everybody in their description, if they claimed stand-up, I went to an Olympic-sized pool, and I tied theirs on, whoever claimed stand-up, and, I could cast it in a pool 100 times, and 100 times that any brand failed. I took mine to a pool, threw it 100 times, it was 100% successful. So mine is the only true stand-up shaky head on the market.
Well, I didn't not have a bathtub, and I called up a friend who had a bathtub, and I said, hey, I'm coming over, and I'm filling up your bathtub. It stands up every time. It's the Perfection Lures. This is not a setup. We're not sponsored by a Beretti thing, but I just got to tell you, I'm highly impressed with it, and it's the one that I use now, the rare instance that I've thrown a shaky head. So I just wanted to give you props starting off on it. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it is. I was excited when that concept came in my mind. I was actually driving to a tournament. I think it was Lake Travis in Texas, and literally I said, honey, give me a piece of paper and a pen. She was driving at the time, and she told me where it was at, and I grabbed it, and I started drawing it on a piece of paper because I started testing. Here's how it all came about. When swim baits, remember the swim bait crave like 10 years ago? I don't know, time flies, I don't know. But remember when the first swim baits first started coming out? Dude, there were so many liars. Like, I took them to an Olympic-sized pool, not like a tub or nothing, and I would throw them out and fish it just like you would if you were in a tournament, And I'm going to say at the time, 75% of them, the tail never wagged, never booted or never kicked. But what the mistake people make is they take it beside the boat and pull it back and forth and look at it beside the boat. But on an official cast, that's not what happens. So I said, I wonder what else is lying to me in my tackle box. So I took some of the flat, stand-up shaky heads that they claim, and I took it to the pool, 1,000% fail. And then it was on that drive where I said, hey, I wonder if we did something like this. And I took and drew it on a piece of paper, and that's how it came out. And what people don't realize is that, when you make a cast just like you're fishing, that's why it's important to go to a huge pool. Your line that lays on the water, your line that goes down 15 foot or 20 foot, that alters what happens to your lure, on a cast. But just taking it to a backyard pool or to a tub or whatever, you can get a little bit, but it's not what happens to your lure on the end of your cast. And anyways, it was a time, and I was studying everything in my tackle box, wanting to know what was lying to me, what was the truth, and you would be shocked. Like, I've learned so much just by going to a huge pool, not a backyard pool. It's amazing the difference in what your lure does when you look at it.
All right, well, we're gonna go there then. So what else is lying to us? What else looks like crap? What else looks like better underneath there, where guys are thinking, oh, this is what it's doing, but it's not? Are there certain things, or you're just like, holy cow, that is not at all?
Yeah, like we got a perfection lure football jig. And I'll tell you this, when I went and studied it in a pool, of course I'm not sponsored by them or nothing, but I'm a rage crawl. We all kind of like the rage technique, the rage crawl, the rage chunk, stuff like that. And when I would stop the jig out, my stand-up football jig, because it was so salt impregnated, the claws literally fall down and like they're going in your pocket. As long as you're moving it, the rage works. But when you stop it, the claws just fall straight down. Like literally just like they're putting their hands in their pocket. I was like, no, I can't, you can't do that. So then I put the net bait, pocket chunk on it, and it's got that pork fat or whatever. Dude, it is unbelievable sexy. I mean, when you see that thing stop in the pool, that crawdad is, they're just waving there, like slapping the bass in the face, man, just like, come on, I dare you to eat me. It's pretty impressive. But swim baits, oh my gosh, I could go through a list 10 miles long on whose works and whose doesn't, and it's unbelievable. And a lot of it, you have to have a big motor. Like some of them swim baits, this is how you know a swim bait is working good. When you can take a light jig head, and when I say light, you got two different types of swim baits. You got like the Kotech boot tail swim baits, or you have the boot tail, say like 6 Cents or a Bass Tricks, like the hollow belly boot tails. You got two different kind of boot tails. The boot tail on, say, a hollow belly or any brand of hollow belly, some of them take a big motor. And what I mean by that, some of them, they don't even wiggle till you get to 3/4 of an ounce. Like if you put it on a 1/2 ounce, it never moves. And it's because the boot tail on those are whether they're double dipped or single dipped, you have to have a big motor, which is the weight of your jig head, to even move it at all. So if you put that on a 1/2 ounce jig head and you make a cast just like you would offshore, not looking at it in your pool, not looking at it in your tub, but if you make an official cast, and I'm down there with my snorkels, they let it go down 20 feet because it's in the Olympic pool at the diving section, and then you start reeling it just like you would in tournament situation, it would make you puke. And you wonder why you don't catch none on it. And it's just amazing what you can learn by going to a pool, like a big pool. And I know I keep emphasizing that, but it does make that much difference.
Okay, I've got to ask, right? And I just don't know because maybe I haven't seen it. Have you videoed any of this stuff, David? And if you haven't, is this something that you might think about doing, or is it just one of those things that, nope, I'm keeping this one to myself?
Well, yeah, there's it's in the works of me doing it's what we're going to call DA. It's called Dudley approved. And there's certain baits that I give the DA to, and then there's certain baits I'm not. But, I'm in an industry where, a fishing industry where, people's feathers could get, ruffled in a heartbeat. I can tell you this. I know if a lure was tested in a pool or a bathtub or a fish tank. You know how you go around those daggum like at ICAST or
Expos.
these fishing shows. Yeah, and they got the little fish tank, and they're like, look, this is exactly what it does. And I'm like, bull crap. Like, bull. I'll call your bluff in 100, right now. Let's take it to the pool, and I guarantee I understand lures, and I understand what makes them work and what makes them tick, especially with anything with movement. If like years ago, when I was really studying hard, like say a chigger crawl, remember the Berkeley chigger crawls? There's certain weights or the net bait, Taka Slim, or anything that moves. It's amazing because like some of them would not work. Like I would start with the 1/8 ounce. Right, we're talking about motors, like a little 1/8 ounce motor, and then you got a 3/16 motor, and then a quarter motor. Some of them would work with a 3/16. Some of them you had to get almost up to a 3/8 of an ounce for their movement to even start. They claim that these are supposed to wag or the tail's supposed to work, but if you put it on a 1/2 ounce and flip it out there, it never moves. Never moves. So then you have to take a bigger motor to make what we perceive as, if I put this on a 3/16 ounce and flip it out there, it's still wiggling just like it would, like they say it does. No. Hold up. I can assure you that your bait is not working until you get it to a 5/16 or whatever. I went that far. Anything that claimed movement, I took it in the pool and I was studying, okay, what does it take to make a chigger crawl move? And actually it was pretty cool because I would take every company's bait, like if they had a 3-inch something that moved, and then they had a 5-inch something that moved. I took them all, and I wanted to know. But the crazy thing about this world is, the fishing world, and think about this, it's pretty cool, that pretty much the most dominant baits out there, plastic-wise, are baits that don't even hardly move at all. They have no movement. So a trick worm, a robo worm, a beaver, a Cinco, I just named the probably 5 of the top dominant baits. The robo worm will wiggle a little bit, but the big movement baits, what I mean by that, the big movement baits, they don't work. So look at Strike King's Rage Bug. Now you got the Rage Crawl, which hardly anybody flips a Rage Crawl. It's big in its movement, right? The legs are really moving, kicking, doing a lot of motion. But then you got the Rage Bug that's got the little Rage Crawl to back, and it just wiggles just a little bit. That subtle movement. They're all your dominant baits. So movement doesn't equal bite. Everybody thinks, if it wiggles like this, then it must do this, right? It's not the case typically in bass fishing. Bass fishing, plastics, subtle movement of plastics is typically the dominant plastics of our world. In case in point, a beaver does nothing, like nothing. No wiggle, no nothing, just a profile. The profile of a Cinco, the profile of a trick worm, the profile of a straight worm, anything, that's what dominates the plastic world.
Folks, you're starting to see why David Dudley is the FLW all-time money-earning winner with $3,658, $409, and 7 tournament wins. My next question would be, how does one go about securing an Olympic-sized swimming pool to test baits in?
I know. I'm blessed, man. I live close to Liberty University. It's a college, and they got an indoor pool, and I got access to it. I just have to go when they're not swimming in the pool.
What? So you just roll, someone, or you just roll up and you're like, hey, man, like, can I test this stuff? Like, how does that work?
Oh, no, of course. I know, a lot of the management up there, and, he made this call and they made this call, and they're like, yeah, come on in, And a lot of times I had to go in there at 11 o'clock at night, just to because the pool was that occupied. And that's why, once I learned so much, that's why we call our company Perfection Lures, because like if we put it out, I'm just confident it's perfection. Like that's what you see what I'm saying. If I create something, it's the truth, right?
You there?
Is he still there? Did we lose him?
Did we lose him?
Anyway, so it's just having people there.
I got you. Hey, I'm very familiar with Liberty. I played club hockey for University of Oklahoma, and we would go to play Liberty every single year, and it was always a dogfight. Great hockey fans there at Liberty University.
Yeah, didn't they win? Like they were number one or something there for a good little bit.
Yeah, they were.
I don't know.
They were really good. Ironically, it is a Christian university, and I think we've been in 3 line brawls with them.
Oh wow! Yeah. Wow.
Hey, David,
that's what hockey's about, though.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah, David, let's talk a little bit about your season. Then I want to reflect back on your career a little bit. How would you sum up this season so far? You're sitting in 5th place in the points. Pretty consistent, but how would you sum up this year so far?
I'm close. It's like I know I've been close every tournament, but I know I've been missing it. Not missing it, but just not as dialed in as I want. 5th in points. Now, don't get me wrong. 5th in points is I'm very good. I'm happy about that. Don't get me wrong, but I know that it's like when you're better at something than, like, say if you're playing basketball and you played an opponent and you're like, dude, I know I could have beat him in that, whatever, that basketball game, but for some reason you just didn't play as well. Like I've been that all year. It's like I'm almost to the point where I'm like 100% dialed in, but you make a couple of bad choices, or you went to this area or that area, and even though I've done well, I haven't feel like I've put myself in a position to where I could have capitalized better on it. And so I'm happy to be where I'm at, but on the other hand, I'm not satisfied with what I've done this year. It's kind of a thorn in my side because I know I'm better than what I showed, and I should have done better, but I didn't do it. It's like I know I could have beat you in that basketball game, but I don't know. I just didn't come away with you go back and actually, I'll tell you what I did do. It's pretty cool. I started a YouTube channel 7 months ago, and actually, in 7 months, I've grown 11,000 subscribers in 11 months, and which is pretty good for the YouTube world. And just last week, I did a thing called Reflection Time, where I actually did film study on looking at my own self, and I picked up where it was so cool because I talked out loud about myself. I was critical on myself to the public, and I learned a little bit of where I messed up throughout the day. And that was a pretty cool video. It was a long video. Most people only like 20 minutes, but they got to listen to me critique myself for an hour on my YouTube channel, and it was pretty cool.
All right. Any chance we could see some pool video on that YouTube channel?
What's that?
I said, any chance we could see some of the pool video that you might take when you're at the swimming pool on your YouTube channel?
Oh, yeah. That's in the works. It truly is in the works. Me and my wife have talked about possibly building a pool to start this. So it's in the works. I got 7 weeks now between now and Champlain, so I might just slip on up there and shoot 4 or 5 videos up there at Liberty in their pool and put them up on the channel. So if you're listening to this podcast, y'all go to David Dudley Outdoors on my YouTube. Make sure you subscribe.
All right, there you have it.
Commercial. for the day.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of cool stuff out there. You never know. You just
Yeah.
some of it's just you strap a GoPro to yourself and go hike through the woods for like an hour and a half, and some of it's really
Yeah.
technical stuff, and then some of it's tournament breakdown.
Yeah.
So it is a hodgepodge for the bass heads out
It's
there.
all good. All right, what about this week? What are your thoughts on this week?
They're biting. They're biting good, and we're at a stage where half the fish or have already left. Basically there's about a three week window in the spring where everything's available. If you want to go shallow with a wacky worm, catching fry garters or spawners, you can do it. If you want to go sight, you can do it. If you want to go out and fish some bars that are in 5 to 10 foot, you can do it. If there's fish out there in the 15, like on their summer haunts already, you can do it. But when they're spread out like this, I don't, when they commit one place or the other. And what I mean by that, say in the spring, the whole population of bass, early spring, comes shallow, right? They kind of start migrating. Then when some of them get done early, and here's what I mean by early, and what people don't realize is this, is that you're going to have bass that spawn in April, you're going to have bass that spawn in May, and you're going to have a few bass that spawn in June, right? There's kind of just a mixture of stuff. But listen to this. If that bass was born in May, it's the natural cycle that God has created. Well, that bass has to, he can't lay it's like a woman dropping her egg. It's on the clock every time. Well, same thing happens in nature. So you're always if that bass was hatched out in the second week of May, well, guess when his cycle is? It's next year in the second week of May. So you're going to have bass that are just following the natural order that God has created us in, and you're going to have them throughout that whole period. But once they fully commit to the summer haunts, then you're going to see the weights. Everybody slaughters them. They're good. You're catching tons. But the problem is now there's this 3 week window where there's some still up there shallow. There's some garden fry. There's some. You understand what I'm saying? It's just there's bass to be caught every way you want to be caught, but like if you go out and find them on the deep, like a 15-foot ledge, there's not 40 bass sitting on that ledge yet. There's 10 bass there, but not 40. Then the other ones are sitting in that mid-range. Instead of it being 30 bass there's 10 bass there. And then there's 10 bass up in the wacky worm range. And then there's 10 bass stopping off in the grass in between. So bass, right now, the population of bass, they're biting. It's not like if you find those 10 bass out on the ledge, they're ready. If you find those they're biting, but the problem is everything is so spread out. Like tomorrow, I could literally have 13 pounds easily, and that's it. Or I could have upwards of 18 pounds and up. And the reason I say that is, catching the 2 pounders, getting to 12 pounds should be pretty easy. But to get that 6 pounder that bumps you up to 15 pounds, and then you catch another 4, now you're up at 18 pounds. It's just getting those 1 or 2 key bites. And it's hard to do right now because they're so spread out. So it's like playing the odds. The odds are, if I set the hook enough, if I can pick one technique, okay? If I could pick one technique, I'm going to go out and set the hook as many times as I can and hope for the best, right? So if I pick up a wacky worm and I go fishing shallow and I get 40 bites, I got to believe that out of those 40 bites, a couple of them have got to be especially in Chickamauga, I'm hoping I shook off some bigger ones during that time. So you got to play the odds. This time of year is playing the odds, and I may pick the wrong odd. Like the odd may be, okay, the wacky worm or shallow flipping has faded, and now the guys that are playing the odds of the 5 to 8 foot shell beds, they might be the ones kicking butt. Or I might be kicking butt, and there's enough up there, big ones up there. I don't know. Hopefully you understand what I'm talking. I know I'm talking a lot, but basically what I'm saying is this to you guys, is that this time of year, fish are in foot of water, all the way out to 15 foot of water, and the whole population of bass isn't committed either towards their summer haunts or they're not committed shallow. They're just kind of spread out, And so that's what makes this tournament, it makes me nervous because, I know I'm sitting 5th in points, but I know very easily I could go shallow, which is probably what I'm going to do, and I could come in with 12 or 13 pounds, or I could have upwards of 20 pounds,
Yep. All right, a couple more questions, and then we're going to let you go, David. One from the instant feedback. Clay in Arkansas wants to know, do you miss going to Beaver?
Absolutely. So, Clay, this is how I judge a lake. I don't judge a lake by, big fish. Oh, I caught 7 and 8, 9, 10 pounds. No. To me, bass fishing is about the thrill and the adrenaline rush of feeling that tink, and I'm like, cool. I tricked you into biting my shaky head. I found you and I tricked you and I caught you. A bass is a sissy, if you think about it. Like, most of the time you fight a bass, it's like, set the hook, reel, come in. So, to answer your question, Beaver Lake has tons of bite. That's how I judge a lake. How do I like? What lakes do you like? I like lakes where I get a lot of bites, because these lakes that you go to and you have to grind all day to get 10 bites, but you might have 20 pounds. That's no fun to me. No fun. Like, I want, like Lake Norman, you can get tons of bites. You come away feeling like you're the best fisherman ever on the planet. You go to Beaver, you get tons of bites. I love lakes where you can go around and get a lot of bites. So, yes, without a shadow of a doubt, I miss Beaver a lot because it's a very populated lake with bass.
All right, last question. We were talking about it before the show, and then you and I kind of talked a little bit about it during the break. This year's the 20th anniversary of the Millennium Tournament. You won it back in 2002. Do you think, and is this industry capable of producing another event that could compare with what went down in when it started back in 1999 with the Millennium Tournament, David?
Do I think there could be another event? Like, are you asking me? Do I think there could be?
Yeah.
The way the industry has went now, maybe not, but you never know. I don't put it this way. I don't see it happening on bass, and I don't see it happening on FLW. There's a slight chance we could see something like that on major league fishing. When you got, a lot of money backing you, I could see them pulling a rabbit out of the hat and doing some type of big tournament for, TV or promotion. But I don't see it coming, but the only league that I think could pull it off would be major league fishing.
All right. You've been doing this for 25 years. Was that the greatest time in professional bass fishing, the end of the 90s into the early 2000s, or is it better now?
I'm going to say it, the early days, because think about it, Erwin Jacobs, and we all know that he's passed away now, but dude, that dude was a visionary dude, man. He he had visions, and a lot of what Major League is doing today was already done by his vision. But to have that man, all of a sudden, when we think about this, I was fishing Bassmasters at the time, and number one was if you won, you were $40,000. You won $40,000. My man come in and bumped it up to 100, and then the next thing you know, we're fishing for during 2 tournaments at 250,000. Then you had these cheap, quote unquote, $100,000 tournaments. Then you're paying $250 for the championship, then $500,000. Then he bumps it up to $1 million, and now we're back down to $300,000 and only $100,000 tournaments. So yes, back in the day, it was glorious days, glorious. Like, he's the one that raised the bar and made everybody else raise the bar. Yeah. So I'm going to have to go with the early 90s or late 90s and early 2000s for sure.
You know, a lot of people forget you've got like $250,000 in earnings with bass.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we're going to do this. The last question from the instant feedback. David in Wisconsin wants to know, any chance or any thoughts in fishing the Opens to try and re-qualify for the Classic now or in the future?
Yeah, I when they had that thing, you win, you're in thing a couple of years ago, I fished the Opens for 2 years, and but I think it's a all season long qualifying, and I've gotten a little too busy. But yeah, that's always in the back of my mind. I keep tabs on the qualification, criteria for that. And I actually qualified, when I did it for 1 year, I actually made the top 5, and I could have went to the elites, but I turned it down. But it's, yes, I'm always keeping that option open because that's pretty much the only thing left on my Grand Slam list, that I have. So I've won FLW Series, I've won FLW Tours, I've won FLW Angler of the Years, and I've won FLW Championships. So I've accomplished it all, right? So I've won Bassmaster Opens, I've won Bassmaster Tours, and, AOI, of course, I don't have, but, of course, the Classic would be putting if I could make the Classic and come away with that, I don't think there's anybody that would have a Grand Slam list accomplished. But I've got most of the Grand Slam list accomplished, and only a couple things left, and I could actually walk away and say I'm the only one to have ever done it. But
yeah, I
know it's a long shot.
Hackney's the only guy he's missing the Classic.
Yeah.
And they actually went back to the win and you're in this year in the Opens.
But you have to fish you
have to fish all of them.
Yeah.
You fish all 4 of the Opens. But yeah, they went back to win and you're in.
Yeah.
2019.
All right. All right, David, man. Can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Enjoy the day off today, and best of luck to you this week and the remainder of the season.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys. You guys do an awesome job. I love your podcast, so if any of y'all don't, download them. These guys are the best in the business. I appreciate it, you guys.
All right, man. I can't wait to see the pool videos. I'm excited about that, man.
I just want to see David Dudley with a snorkel on.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing what you can learn in a pool, man. It's amazing. And it's helped me in my fishing, and to actually know. And it cracks me up. I know I said it, man, but I can walk around ICAST, and I can literally go, "You're lying. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar." Just because I understand the concept of movement and what it takes to move, and not saying it don't work, but again, I'm just stressing the point, on a long cast is where you learn what a lure does, All
right. All right, man. Great stuff. Some of the best stuff we've had this year so far. Just an awesome show. So, man, good luck to you this week, and we will talk to you soon, David.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care. All right, there you have it. David Dudley. What a great show.
I mean, seriously, what
That was awesome.
Here's my thought. What do you always like to throw on your ball and chain? There's one bait that I'm like, screw that you have the utmost confidence in.
Well, there's two. There's a lizard.
Okay, that's one.
And then there's a French fry.
Do you not wonder what the hell a French fry looks like 20 feet down getting drug across the bottom and why a fish is eating it?
Yeah.
Do you have any actual visualization of what is going on? Because I'm trying to picture that thing when you're like, dude, you need to throw this French fry down there. And I'm like,
this is what I see. What I picture, obviously I can't see it, but what I picture is that weight's going on the bottom, that thing's dragging behind it, and it's just barely moving. Just barely, man. That's probably not what it's doing.
I don't picture it. I picture it dragging on the bottom. That damn French fry is so light that the hook is dragging it on the bottom, and it's just going across the bottom in the silt and the soot on the bottom like an absolute small stick just going across the bottom.
I could not tell you the last person that I have spoken with that has caught a bass on a French fry.
You
couldn't tell you. Me, I think I'm the only one in the country.
But I would like to see that. In 20 foot of water, what it actually looks like down there. Here's the other thing. I don't know what a bass looks like when it hits a biffle bug. How many times have you cast it out there and you're cranking it in and it goes bam and nothing's there? Or it goes bam and then you've got him. I want to see what it looks like when that thing's don't going across the bottom and a fish eats it. How many times when a fish eats a crankbait 10 feet from the boat, 8 foot down on a DT6 or something like that, and you're like, well, where the hell did that fish come from? I want to know what that looks like. Now, I know Kim Stricker has the hook and look, and that's badass stuff, and you can do it. And Matt Allen and Tim Little over at Tactical Bassin have some mesmerizing stuff as far as bass eating flukes, bass eating jerk baits, bass eating things off beds, bass eating swim baits. But I'm talking about like in the muddy water, and there's really kind of no way to do that. I mean, I know Zaldane's done some stuff with the Water Wolf camera, with the Alabama rigs and the fish swimming behind it. But as a whole, and what David Dudley really pointed out was we chuck something out there and we might as well be chunking it into outer space. We have no idea what it actually looks like.
Just a vision, man. Just a vision. Vision and feel.
And maybe the rage crawl works so well because the damn pinchers don't stand up.
It's vision.
Because that's why they said the Ned rig works.
What your
because
vision
you've got
I mean, why the hell does that thing work?
What?
The Ned rig.
Well, I mean, the theory is, and Z-Man has talked about this, and the theory is, you got a crawfish with these giant ass pinchers. Like, that's like, hey, if you're going to pick a fight with someone, are you going to pick a fight with the dude who's got the boxing gloves on and is ready to go? Or are you going to pick a fight with the dude with his hands in his pocket who's about 5'2" and weighs 100 pounds? It's safe. I mean, you eat a giant crawfish like that, where are the pinchers going to go? Right in your gill plates. Well, how do you breathe? Through your gills.
I think you're giving a fish way too much credit.
No, I mean, it's an innate ability for them to eat. I think that's why they eat a Cinco. That's why they eat a shaky head. They're looking at a high risk or high reward, low risk meal to where they won't get injured.
I got it. Man, what a great show. That was good stuff. It's been a while since we've had him on there, but we need to get him back on. I want to see the pool stuff.
I want to see a podcast between David Dudley and Aaron Martins, just those two.
That would be entertaining. That really would. All right, here's what we're going to do. I wanted to get some stuff in based upon some of the emails that I got in. We'll get to that on Monday because we're just out of time, and I apologize. I am going to do my best to try and follow up with everybody on some comments, some questions that people have sent in that I just have not had the time to get to. I'm going to try and get to that tomorrow and Friday. Next week, hopefully we're going to have Winners Week. The last time that we had a triple dip taking place, we had all three winners on. We're going to try and accomplish the same thing next week.
I will not be here.
Yeah, where are you going to be?
Table Rock.
That's right. So we're going to have Bradley Hallman in studio to give his summary on his performance at the Chick, and then hopefully we can have the other three winners on during the same week. So good time, great time to be outside, a ton of water in the South and in the lower Midwest, but it is springtime, and hopefully everybody can get an opportunity to get out there and enjoy some of the stuff. I did see some pictures, and I do not have them queued up. It's pretty cool, dude. The Bass logo on the NASCAR Joe Gibbs Racing team.
Looked
pretty
awesome.
Cool. It's pretty
the Bass
neat.
logo, the Toyota logo, and the Bass Pro Shops logo.
Yeah.
All in one vessel. That's not a vessel. Vessel is
What is your deal with this vessel? Where'd you come up with that at?
I don't know.
Because of all the water that's across Oklahoma right now, you need a vessel?
Yeah.
So
I will
that's the
say
plan.
that after one day on Smith Lake, Alabama guy's not looking in bad shape.
Yeah, but so's
they
the field.
Yeah, well, no, they just got to make the top 20.
Dude,
so
it doesn't
does matter because my
It doesn't
percentage. Here's the bet that we made. A $5 signed bill that an Alabama angler, one of the 16 in the field, will win stage 5 on Smith Lake this week. Jeffries took these 68 anglers or 64 anglers not from Alabama in the field. But based on how it's looking, my percentages are going to go way up because after in 2 days, it'll only be 40.
Hey.
So if 15 of my guys, now it's 15 out of 40 instead of 16 out of 80.
Look, you and I both know the only day that matters is the final day.
Is the final day.
That's it.
So, I mean,
if you got a field of 10 and they're all Alabama guys, congratulations. I will sign the bill and go on.
If that happens, that would be amazing. The only time I
could.
ever remember anything like that was back in the late 2000s. Wasn't there a elite series on Kentucky Lake where like 6 Oklahoma guys made the top 12?
Yeah.
Like Kenyon made it, Bradley made it, Edwin made it, Terry Butcher made it. I think Tommy Biffle made it.
Yeah,
there were a
it's kinda
bunch
crazy.
of guys from Oklahoma that made it that year.
Crazy. All right. That's going to wrap up the week, folks. Thank you once again to all the people that are watching us live and then also listening to us on iTunes on the podcast. So don't forget, if you are one of those people that listen to us on the podcast and you have not done an iTunes review or given us a rating, please do that. It helps us out immensely to keep this thing going. And then next week, hopefully we're going to have Winners Week again. We'll see what happens. Bradley Hallman in studio, and we will break down. Dude, we're halfway through. Over halfway through.
Yeah, over halfway through or halfway through, depending on how you look at it. No, we are over halfway through.
Yeah.
On everything.
On everything.
There's just a couple left in the FLW.
This year is flying by.
Brad's like 70, 80 points out of the cup right now. So next week he will, depending on what happens here at Chickamauga, he'll have a push to make the Forest Wood Cup.
He's in the 70s right now.
Yeah. Dudley's in.
Yeah.
Now you ain't got to worry about it.
I want to thank David once again for taking time out. Great interview. And we will be back on Monday. The Grasshopper, Matthew, will be at Table Rock, hopefully catching numerous smallmouth, Kentuckys, and largemouth. We're out of here. Everybody, stay tuned.